All right. Hello again, everybody. So, since I heard, DC ask for somebody to review her thing on Al Sharpton, I don't think the person that she asked to do it is going to do it. So, Russ will obviously do them the honors. Oh, my. So, here we go. Let's listen to let's talk about Al Sharpton.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, you are on time reading and welcome. Hello, Cheryl. Hello, vultures. Hello, everyone.
Oh,
Hello, everyone
yay.
watching me on live. Hello, everyone who is watching
Yeah.
on replay. It is good to have you here. Please notice that the membership link is at the top of the chat. I got an email from someone who told me that their subscription had been canceled. They had been
Oh, yeah.
unsubscribed to my channel and several others. I think that we're
Uh-oh.
experiencing another YouTube glitch where people are mysteriously unsubscribed from channels that they do not want to unsubscribe from.
Uh-oh.
So if you have been unsubscribed, please resubscribe. This was not, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't control.
Yeah. Same goes for me. If anybody has been unsubscribed from me, do me the honor, do me the favor, okay, of resubscribing, or don't, or don't.
Subscriptions. I can't cancel people's subscriptions and I can't cancel people's memberships on my end.
Okay.
So it wasn't me. I think it's just a YouTube glitch. So
It wasn't
anyway, so
me.
today we're going to be covering good old Reverend Al Sharpton,
Ah.
Negs. uh,
Oh, yeah.
Cenk Uger's rant the other day. Hi, Beth. Cenk
Well, no, because Negs did not review Al Sharpton.
Uger's rant really got the old noggin jogging.
I'll be right back, but I'll let it play.
And I started to think back on all of the terrible things that Al Sharpton has done and the way that he has done so much damage to race relations in this country because of the violence that he fomented, because of the people that he associated with, and because of the groups that he targeted. You all are going to have to excuse me for 1 minute because, as usual, every time I stream, I forget something. I do not have my vapes and I need them urgently. So hang on for 1 second. I will be right back.
Okay, I'm back myself. And oh, she didn't have her vapes? She didn't have her vapes? Well, you know what? I just got back in. I just got back in from going to the vape shop actually, and I am all set for right now. Let's speed her up. Let's speed her up. 1.25. Or you know what? Let me just go to where she actually starts with going over Al Sharpton. I don't want to wait for her to come back. All right.
That what really galls me is that certain communities refuse to accept responsibility for their actions
Oh
directed at other
no.
communities, but expect the utmost respect, silence, and kowtowing
Ah.
when it comes to their issues,
Ah.
but refuse to accept what they've done to other communities. This is not a broad brush statement.
Well, you know what? DC, uh I accept full responsibility for everything that I've said about you and Negs and some of the things that I've done to you and Negs. I accept full responsibility for it because that's the right thing to do. But not everybody's going to think the same way.
By the way. I'm referring to very specific instances where there's been very little contrition shown. There's been a great deal of suffering.
Uh-huh.
And I also want to point out that the cases that we're going to discuss today happened in the late 80s, early 90s. We're not talking
Okay.
ancient history. We're not talking about the transatlantic slave trade. We're not talking
No,
about the
we're not.
1960s. We're talking about the 1990s. These
Okay.
events happened in the late 80s and early 90s. There is no
Okay.
excuse for people now not to know that these events took place and not to hold the people responsible accountable. So let's take a listen.
Okay, November
Tawana
28th.
Brawley is a
What is it?
16-year-old girl who's
What is it? November 28th, 1987. Okay. Okay.
story is the talk of New York these days.
The New York State teenager who claims that she was abducted and raped by 6 white men.
In the late 1980s, Tawana Brawley became a household name as her horrific stories spread across the nation.
She had
Ah.
KKK written across her chest and nigger across her stomach.
Leading to
Wow.
widespread outrage.
We're going to expose the facts in these crimes that
Here
you
he
do
is.
against black people.
And intense soul searching about race in America.
Let
Yeah.
Miss Brawley represent what we're not going to stand for as parents, as Americans, and as human beings.
But how did investigators discover the truth behind the Brawley rape? And what is its legacy today?
I
Yeah.
think that the lessons of Brawley is very instructive for me and others.
You learned nothing. You learned absolutely nothing from this case. Nothing. All it
You know what? You know what? I will say that. Yeah, he didn't learn anything. He didn't learn anything. Al Sharpton. Listen, my thing with Al Sharpton is I know for a fact that Al Sharpton has always been blissfully ignorant on a lot of things. On a lot of things. So it's like, of course, he wouldn't have learned anything because he doesn't pay attention to shit. He doesn't pay attention to shit. He's mainly just interested in sitting up there in his ivory shower, and that's it. That's all he's interested in.
all it did was consolidate your power. All it did was elevate you on a national level. And you, sir, have not reformed a bit. A bit. I don't give a damn that you're wearing Savile Row suits now. I don't give a damn that MSNBC has taken you into its bosom. I don't care. You are the same person that you were back then. You may not be as fat. You're not fat at all, actually. You may be better dressed. You may not be as vulgar and outspoken in the same way as you used to be.
Yeah.
But sir, I'm sorry. The only thing that you learned was how to sort of tailor and sharpen your hustle.
But I think that people want to cut
Right.
off the lessons where they want.
Retro report. The the Tawana Brawley story.
In November 1987, a news story from a small town 70 miles north of New York City shocked the nation.
Special segment tonight,
Oh, I
the
bet it
Tawana
did.
Brawley case.
She was found wrapped in a plastic bag, by some accounts, sexually assaulted.
The 16-year-old cheerleader said she'd been abducted 4 days earlier and had been repeatedly raped and sodomized.
She was found in a fairly frightening state. She had a pair of sneakers which had been cut with a razor. Her hair seemed matted and covered with feces.
I
There was
remember it
writing on
well.
her chest.
Oh, do you
jeans
really?
that she had were burnt in the crotch. It was like, this is not a normal state to find someone.
More unsettling was the claim Brawley made on national television about one of her attackers.
He's a cop. He was a police officer.
Brawley attracted a team of activists to her side. The Reverend Al Sharpton, C.
Yep.
Vernon Mason, and Alton Maddox were well known in the press, having
Yeah,
recently
they were.
focused attention on another racially charged case, the killing of
were.
a black youth who was fleeing a white mob in Howard Beach.
They were, and you know why they were? You know why they were? For not caring. That's why. Not caring as much as they acted like they cared. These people don't care about any of this stuff. These people don't care about any of this stuff.
Queens.
New York State is now the capital of racial violence.
In the Brawley case, they saw the makings of a cover-up and demanded a special prosecutor take over.
I was a spokesman for the legal team and the family of Miss Brawley. I was involved to help bring light on the fact that there was a situation here that needed to be adjudicated.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind that when this story broke, it got national attention. You just saw that it was on the national news.
Duh.
There was no shortage of coverage of this story, so it wasn't necessary for all these people to step in and try to sort of pump life into it. This was not, hey, Donna, how are you? Or Demo. I'm sorry, Demo. Hi, good to see you.
Yeah, I don't see Donna Morte in there.
It was not necessary for all these people to step forward and get involved. Now, I understand it was extremely emotional. I remember when the story broke. And the details of it were absolutely terrifying. Hey, Obscurity, how are you?
Yeah.
And people were duly appalled by the details of the story and appalled by the circumstances of it and appalled by the girl's accusations because they couldn't imagine that such brutality had been leveled at a teenager or anyone for that matter. So it's understandable that people were upset. What is not understandable is what happened afterwards.
Yeah, and what's also not understandable is why I forgot to forgot to speed her up.
To let this girl be the scapegoat of a corrupt system. We want to show the world how low down, dogged, and callous the state of New York is.
Brawley's advisors declared they had a suspect, a young police officer named Harry Chris Jr., who had committed suicide days after her attack.
The media now has released that Tawana identified Chris.
What's the evidence?
Tawana's voice on the tape identifying Chris.
With protesters taking to...
Now, keep in mind that at this point, the forensics had not come out. Hi, Judy. How are you? You're going to want to stick around for this one. Trust me. The forensics had not come out. The investigation had not been completed. All of these accusations were unproven. There was no basis for these accusations, but it didn't stop Sharpton and his group. And this Alton Maddox guy was another real POS.
To the streets, the state attorney general dispatched veteran investigator John Ryan to upstate New York with orders to solve the increasingly sensitive case.
We attempted immediately to sit down with Tawana and her family, and we reached out repeatedly to her attorneys or advisors, and that was never fruitful.
Her lawyers, it was their decision, along with her family, which I announced, that they did not want to cooperate because they did not trust the special prosecutor that was appointed by the governor.
Yeah, sure. No. What victim doesn't want to cooperate in an investigation of a brutal rape, a brutal gang rape? You must be joking. No, sir.
I'd send them a letter and, they'd have a press conference.
They're at a press conference and all of a sudden Alton Maddox pops out with this guy's name.
Her lawyers charged that Dutchess County Assistant District Attorney Stephen Pagonis was among the girl's attackers and demanded his arrest.
We have the facts and the evidence that an assistant district attorney and a state trooper did this.
She made statements to the lawyer. She never made statements to me. I did not ask a 15-year-old girl what happened. I believe the law.
I find this incredibly difficult to believe. How would she know who Stephen Pagonis is? I'm not trying to denigrate her, but how many people know who the assistant or the DA in their county or in New York or anywhere is? But it was these were obviously talking points that were crafted by Sharpton and Alton Maddox and the rest of them. And actually, Pagonis sued Sharpton and won. He won money from Sharpton based on this lie that Sharpton spread into banks of microphones early and often.
Lawyers believed their client, and I believe that we had an obligation to go forward.
Without Brawley's cooperation, Ryan tried to divine some clues from the initial police investigation.
In the course of the interview with the police, she literally only said one word. She would also indicate, I believe by eye blinks, they would ask her a question and she would indicate yes or no. The police officer took what they could get. She was found in a grassy area behind the building that her family had previously lived in, very near the apartment that was then vacant but unlocked. She had literally just come off being grounded because she got home at 5 a.m. from some party. She goes to visit a boyfriend in jail, and then she eventually takes the bus home, and that's the last time anybody saw her officially during those.
Wow. Now remember this, she had been grounded. She snuck out of the house to go see her boyfriend in jail, and then
what?
Vanished. And then this story broke. This is very, very important to the sequence of events.
4 days.
Okay.
From his headquarters at the State Armory in Poughkeepsie, Ryan and his team struggled to make sense of a case that seemed to grow more complicated every day.
We were an investigation under siege.
We closed the bridge, the court, and this building, and Main Street.
The press had its agenda, no offense. The advisors had their agenda, no offense. Quite frankly, we had to view it as those of us in the armory against the rest of the world.
There were scores of false leads. An acquaintance said he was with Brawley. He wasn't. A man claimed to have secret tapes that cast doubt on the veracity of Brawley's advisors. He didn't.
Wow.
We started a rumor about a 9-fingered man, just to see how long it would take for a press report, to call us and start to ask about the 9-fingered man. I think it took 2 days.
But such moments of levity were brief.
A trooper starts up the steps of the armory, and these demonstrators decided they weren't going to let him in.
Uh-huh.
He grabbed a demonstrator that was fighting him. Next thing we knew, Reverend Sharpton was accusing me of kicking a blind man.
Great.
Wow. Wow.
We realized how a lie can spread.
Her advisors have said
Imagine now, this was before social media. Imagine a story like this spreading now with Twitter, with YouTube, with Rumble, with Snapchat, with all of the social media platforms available. Imagine how fast this story would spread, and imagine how quickly people would jump to conclusions.
Exactly.
Imagine a nightmare scenario.
a lot the past few months, charging that white local officials were involved in the crime, not to mention the mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Irish Republican Army.
Sharpton called Cuomo a racist, compared Abrams to Hitler, and said Brawley would go to jail rather than cooperate with the investigators.
Maddox would actually say that the Attorney General of the state of New York was masturbating over pictures of 15-year-old Tawana Brawley.
Amazing.
Wow.
And Robert Abrams was Jewish, calling him a Nazi. Well, you all know how I feel about that, because it is classic vintage anti-Semitism to compare Jews to Nazis. But there was no, there were no cards that Sharpton would not play. There was nothing that Sharpton wouldn't stoop to get his message out.
No, Mason and
I
agree. What's wrong with them? What was wrong with us was crackers didn't choose us.
I think a lot of the rhetoric, including mine, went too far.
Oh, you do, huh?
I think that there's a difference between the rhetoric and the reason we got involved.
But at the time, that reason was questioned by one of his own associates.
They are frauds from the beginning.
Perry McKinnon, you couldn't see Sharpton without seeing Perry McKinnon in those days. And he was with him at all times. And, he's a decorated war hero. He's all these other things.
This whole situation is not about Tawana Brawley. It's about Mason, Maddox, and Sharpton.
Of course.
Sort of taking over the town.
Yep.
Their exact words were, we beat this. We will be the biggest niggas in New York.
Let's take the outside chance McKinnon is telling the truth. And by the way, there's nobody corroborated that. If I say that if I win for president when I ran, I'll be the biggest black guy in America, does that really mean that I perpetrated a lie?
As the press,
No, we know you perpetrated a lie because the whole story was a lie, and you made up lies about people.
Yeah.
You whipped up a mob frenzy.
Yeah.
And you're a liar. Very simple.
turned up the heat on Brawley's advisors, Ryan uncovered new clues.
The jeans he had on were burnt in crotch, but she wasn't burnt there. The cutting in the sneaker, clearly it was done when the no foot was in the sneaker.
An FBI lab agent on the case drew his attention to bits of cotton found inside the feces-smeared glove, allegedly used in the attack on Brawley.
We were having a drink, and he said to me, and the damnedest thing is we found the same thing under her fingernails. Well, I almost spit my drink out. Get burnt cotton under her fingernails, burnt cotton in the tips of the glove. There's a real good chance she's wearing those gloves.
Next, Ryan set about discovering the source of the racial epithet found on Brawley's body.
I was burning cotton in my kitchen and wasn't getting anywhere, and the burnt cotton fibers fell into the sink. And my wife, who's always been smarter than me, leaned forward, put her finger in the burnt cotton in the water, went like this, went like that. Looks like it to me. It was the last piece of the puzzle.
Today, after 7 months, 6,000 pages of testimony, and 180 witnesses, a grand jury found beyond any doubt Tawana Brawley's story is a lie.
Those allegations are untrue. The people who made those allegations lied. Their outrageous, irresponsible acts have increased the atmosphere of tension between the races.
I think that people have to advocate what they believe in. I have friends right now that believe O.J. Simpson is guilty right now. And a jury said he's not.
Well, of course he was guilty.
Does that mean that I think they don't have credibility? That means that I think that they have a belief that I don't share, and a jury didn't share. A grand jury did not believe Ms. Brawley. I believe there was reason to pursue this situation.
Okay, but where did the Steve Pagonis accusation come from? Where did that come from?
Yeah, where?
Where did that name come from specifically? How did he get a hold of that name? Unless he had an axe to grind. I'm sorry, but all the pieces fall into place. There is no way that Tawana Brawley mentioned the name Steve Pagonis. I refuse to believe this.
Oh, you
It was
refuse to
some kind
believe
of a
it, huh?
grudge. It was some kind of a problem going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And they used this girl,
Yeah, they
this
did.
girl who got caught up in a lie that she created. And they created a huge problem in the state of New York.
Oh, yes.
One of the real victims of this case was the family of the police officer. They suffered the loss of their son through a horrible means, and then were subjected in the press to these allegations which had nothing to do with them.
I didn't bring him in the case, Ms. Brawley did. I was speaking for Ms. Brawley. I mean, of course we wanted the aspects of what her allegation was investigated.
Pagonis was also vindicated in the report.
We accounted for virtually every moment of his time over the 4-day period and concluded he had absolutely nothing to do with it.
There's absolutely no way that this served any good social purpose. If you concoct a rape, then you undermine the credibility of women who are raped. If you concoct a rape and turn it into a race crime, then you undermine true victims of race crimes.
That's right.
About 6 months after the hoax was unmasked,
yeah.
Brawley's former boyfriend told Newsday that Tawana had invented the scheme, apparently to avoid a beating by her mother's boyfriend after running away from home.
She had to tell
But Brawley,
me.
who now works as a nurse under another name in
Get
Virginia,
away.
has steadfastly refused to explain herself publicly.
I'm not a liar and I'm not crazy.
Well, what explanation could there be?
What? Grand jury to me didn't really exist. That was all a farce.
Brawley and her advisors lost a defamation suit to Pagonis in 1998. Maddox had his law license suspended due to his refusal to answer questions about his conduct during the case. And Mason lost his because of unconnected ethical
Vernon
lapses.
Mason is
Sharpton was acquitted in a series of charity-related fraud charges.
I think that we, and certainly I, going forward, learned how to be more cautious.
Really?
But I also think the media has not adopted a lot of its lessons. And I think prosecutors have not adopted its lessons.
Keep in mind that he said he learned something going forward. This was 1987. I'm going to play you something that happened in the early 90s. Let's continue.
The activist himself has moved on from the hoax that has altered the lives of so many others.
Barack Obama.
I told Reverend Al backstage, he's getting skinnier than me.
If we had something right or wrong, at least give us credit. At least give me credit for a life that was geared towards social justice, even if you think I was wrong. On some cases. Don't act like I wasn't geared towards social justice.
Social justice, my tuchus.
I have radio show, TV show, do lectures. I make a good living. Why am I doing it now?
Social justice, my tuchus. Oh, God. Okay, that's it. I'm stopping it there. Oh, my. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you when I'm live later on.